Hi guys, Saki here, welcome to Conquer regular video. In this game I'm playing a 2v2 match on the map Naval Conquests. I'm standing in the top left position playing as the Allies. For those of you who don't know this map, as the name suggests, it's got a heavy naval focus. Each player starts on a small island, or at least the positions we've chose to start in we do, in the corners of the map. And what tends to happen is you need to just start. You've got some resources when you start an island, as you'll see. I've got 2 ore patches. I think every starting island has those. But what you need to do is you need to expand from the starting islands into the middle, and there's a lot more resources in the middle for you to be able to use, and we're going to be needing to use those early on. So really you want to be getting over to the middle as soon as possible, but you just need to have your normal start really. Get your economy going on your starting island and then move across as soon as possible. And you have to be aware of naval conflicts as well, because it's obviously you're starting on islands, so you're going to be very susceptible to naval attacks. And right now I'm just getting my war factory down. I'm going to be getting a service depot. Service depot is essential because that's going to allow me to build an MCV, which is going to allow me to build a base in the middle big island. Now the island in the middle, it's sort of there's lots of small bits of it connected together. So once you get onto the middle, it's really important that you try and get established there. And you can see I'm going to be building quite a few MCVs because I'm going to want to get onto different parts of that middle island and just really expand my base out and get on as many ore patches as possible and just grow that economy. What it also means is if I lose one base on the middle island, I'll have others to fall back on, so I won't be just hedging all my bets on one base. And having multiple MCVs as well allows me to build structures faster, and it might be things like pillboxes, turrets if I'm trying to defend, or just other general buildings. And you can see me moving one of the ore trucks from the bottom ore patch to the one on the top right, and that's just because the top right ore patch is a little bit bigger, so I think it'll be a little bit better in terms of ore mining long term. I'm now getting those transport ships out my naval yard, and I'm just, while I'm waiting to get these MCVs to the middle, I'm going to build a radar dome that allow me to see what my teammates doing and what's happening on other parts of the map, although we won't have that much uncovered right at the moment, but hopefully that's going to get a lot better. And we'll be looking to get a tech centre later on, and because I'm playing as the Allies, I'll get satellite, which will allow me to see a lot more of the map. Now one thing to consider is there is a gem island on this map, and it's sort of towards more the bottom left, and it's just to be aware of, I'm not going to try and take a massive force because the gem island I think on this map is overrated a little bit. There is some good gems on it. There is quite a large gem patch, but it's not that big. It does run out fairly fast. It just gives you that bit of a boost, so I'm not too concerned about that. I'm not going to be trying to do a rush for it or anything. I'm going to be focusing on the other parts, because I think if you have 2 other bases, it's a lot more stronger than just getting that gem island, because I know a lot of players just they'll send massive forces, have a bigger fight over it, and at the end of the day, it gives you a little bit of an advantage, but not a massive one. And now that I'm getting these construction yards deployed, I'm going to have a much faster building speed, and I'm able to get out these structures pretty quickly, get some ore refineries out there, and you can see my economy is doing really well, and that's going to mean I'm going to be able to build quite a few tanks and build them quite quickly and just getting spread out. I've already got 3 bases now on the middle island, so that's going to give me a really powerful economy to build off. And I think this middle patch I'm on, you can see where my tanks are at the moment. That's the most important because there's a couple of ore patches there. I'm also going to need to be aware that there's a person who could come from the right, and there's also a person who could come from the left. Because I've started on the left side of the map, I'm going to be possibly more focused on the left side, but we'll have to wait and see. And now just getting another ore refinery on that ore patch to the right of my base. And just really building up this economy, because what you tend to find in this map is that your economy is going really well, but then it just suddenly takes a nosedive when you start building naval units and tanks at the same time, so you do have to be careful. Not to to really get that economy built up. And now I'm getting that tech centre down and getting a gap generator just so that the other players can't see it, so it's not going to get attacked by MiGs or anything like that. And I'm going to get some gap generators across my base, and thankfully, because I've got more construction yards, it's making the process a lot easier, it's building a lot faster, and you can see that economy growing wildly out of control, so I'm going to need to rectify that in a bit. I'm just getting the gap generators placed down, and that'll just block my enemy's view if they do get an early satellite or when they've done any scouting. And as I'm doing this, we can see that Cyan has taken out our allies' base to the top right of that middle island, and that's really bad because it now means that Red is isolated to his starting island and his expansion has been halted. And I'm going to need to get some tanks out here. You can see those tanks from Cyan are in pretty strong numbers, and they're heavy tanks. They're playing as the Soviets, and this is going to be a bit of a tough situation. I do have another war factory out just to increase that building speed, and maybe I've taken it a bit too lightly and I've been focusing a bit more on gap generators when I really should have been getting those war factories out and just pumping up those tank numbers. But now Cyan is starting to push us back. You can see we're in a little bit of trouble. I'm also going to build some turrets to try and help us halt this advance. But my medium tank numbers at the moment are just not in the desired numbers. And we're just going to have to try and slow this as much as possible. And what I'm going to also try and do is start building destroyers for some naval support, as well as the turrets and as well as the tanks. The big question is it going to be enough? Cyan is bringing in reinforcements, so there's new tanks coming in all of the time. I'm getting these medium tanks out at a pretty fast rate. I've got the turrets here, but as you can see, those heavy tanks are just getting replenished pretty quickly. I've got the destroyers firing on them, and for the moment it looks like we're going to be able to hold, and the Cyan tanks are turning back, but I think that's because my ally's back on the top right. And unfortunately it looks like his base is being taken down once again. But this distraction has allowed me to rebuild my tanks and just to get back on terms. So that has helped me, even though he's lost his base once again. I have got better tank numbers now, and we can see those Cyan tank numbers have been whittled down a little bit. But the reinforcements coming in, I've got reinforcements also. I'm also getting another war factory to increase my building speed even more. And I'm just thinking what I need to do here. I just want to get these Cyan tanks away from this top right so that my teammate can get established. But I am going to have to pull back for the time being, and I'm going to get some destroyers on the top part as well, so they can fire, because obviously my destroyers can't get past those bridges to the middle. Unless I destroy them, but I haven't been able to do that yet. Now you can see that Cyan is coming through that little gap. It's a bit of a bottleneck, and I'm just going to put my tanks to the other side and hopefully be able to halt him. I'm also having a bit of a look at Yellow. I have got satellites, so I can see that Yellow's expanded that gem island, and the question is Yellow going to attack anytime soon? And Cyan pushing us back once again. He has got the better tank numbers, but those destroyers helping us out a little bit, and Cyan dropping back once again, because I think my ally has again, he's lost his construction yard again. So that's 3 times now, but it's allowed us to push Cyan back a little bit. What I need to be careful though is not to lose everything and not to push too far and have nothing, because as we can see, Cyan is coming back for the attack on my base. But now those destroyer numbers at the top of the map really starting to build up and provide some real support. I've also been able to build up those turret numbers a little bit further back, so I will have a bit of support there, and the Cyan tanks coming through. Those heavy tanks starting to smash through my base. There's quite a few of them, but I do have quite a few destroyers, although all my tanks are taken out. But now those destroyers will hopefully be able to fire from both sides. I do have a lot more turrets, and I have some tanks held back there, which will be able to provide some support. All this time though, I'm just having a look in that left side of the map, and it does look like Yellow is starting to make a move. So even though this Cyan force may not be able to kill our base, the Yellow team might be ready to make a move in the not too distant future. And what I'm trying to do now is just build up the turrets, build up the destroyers, and now Cyan being forced a little bit back with those heavy tanks. I'm just trying to get my tanks forward now that I've been able to build up the numbers a little bit. And now Yellow is starting to go for the attack on the left side of my base. So far in this game, Yellow's been uncontested, and that makes him very dangerous. He's been able to build up and have no opposition. I would have a better look at his base and what he's actually got, but I'm a bit preoccupied in this top right position. And right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get Cyan out of this top right, just so my teammate can expand to the middle, because once he's got a middle base, it's going to make things a lot easier. Cyan pulling back, but reinforcements seem to be coming across the bridge. What I'm trying to do is get my naval units around. You can see I've actually got a lot of tanks on my starting island, because when you get so many war factories, they start just like building from like different war factories as you produce tanks, which just means I've had a load produced on my starting island, and I can't do much with them. It looks like yellow has a navy as well though, and that seems to be going to my starting island, and that could cause some problems. But now I've got naval support in, and red is helping me with those heavy tanks, and with those heavy tanks from red, we're going to be able to push those cyan tanks back. And my destroyers are there, my tanks are there, and hopefully finally red, for the 4th time, is now going to be able to get a base in that top right position and expand to the middle islands, because you can see that red's starting island has very little ore left on it. Right at the moment though, I've got a big problem on the left of the map. I've been so focused with cyan that I've got yellow who's coming for me, and it looks like he's got quite a few tanks there. He's also got some naval units on that left side of the map as well, and I'm in a bit of trouble. What I'm going to do though is I've built some transporters, and I'm going to be loading up these transport ships with tanks from my starting island. And the problem with this process though is you'll see it's very, very clunky, and this is why it's very annoying and you can't really do much with these starting tanks quite often. It's because it just takes so long to like load these ships, and it's not great. Let's put it like this, with all the tracking and yeah, them filling up and the length of time it takes, and the tanks get stuck. But we'll try and do it. Now the yellow's on my middle base, and this is big trouble for me. I'm having a bit of a problem here. You can see those yellow tank numbers are pretty good. They're taking out my tech centre, which was inevitable, and now I've lost all map vision. But I do sort of like know what's going on in the different parts of the map. I know where I need to go. I'm just trying to fill up these transport ships, and I'm going to unload them at a different part of the map. And yeah, there you can see I did order them all to get loaded. I think some of them were sort of like on top of each other as well. Sometimes you get hidden ones, and you move one transport ship and you have another one just under it. But we'll have to get these transport ships loaded. You can see I've got quite a lot of tanks in there. I think I've got 5 transport ships, and that can hold 25 tanks, which is a pretty decent army. And now we can see that red is starting to build a force in that top right, and we'll be able to provide some support and hopefully defend from cyan. He is playing as Soviet, so he may have access to some good defences, like Tesla, if he chooses to use it. I don't know what his economy's like at the moment and how many tanks he's got on this map. But right now what I'm doing is I'm sending these transport ships to the bottom of the map, and I'm just trying to push them through as quickly as possible. I'm just hoping they don't run into a load of naval ships. I'm just having to take this risk at this point in the game. And there's some transport ships from yellow. We're starting to push them past yellow's base, and we'll be able to get them hopefully and launch a little bit of a surprise attack. And I'm just having a look there, and this looks like a good position to put them in. We can see that yellow's expanded a base to that bottom part, so we're going for a right attack at the bottom part of the map, and hopefully this will be successful. Yellow's being caught off a bit guard. We can see that his forces are where my middle base was, and he was doing a little bit of damage there. But now we're going to do a damage to the back of his base. We can also see that Cyan's ore truck is also there, so we'll do a bit of damage to all of them. I'm just unloading all my tanks and just getting as much destruction as I possibly can, and getting a bit more map visibility. And now those yellow tanks going across into my base in the top middle of the map. So I'm sort of like in the back, and I'm also having to defend from what's going on right at the top at the same time. But we're going to get some good damage, I think, done to yellow in this situation. We've also been able to take out some cyan ore trucks to hamper his economy. And let's see what we can do. There's a V2 rocket. That's not going to do anything on its own. And now we're getting into the big part of yellow's economy, and if we take out those 2 ore refineries, that's going to be a big win for us, and taking out that war factory and that construction yard, and that's going to really hurt yellow. And He's got some like tanks defending here, but that's nowhere near enough. 3 tanks is not going to do anything. And we may have also cut off his war factory production from the middle island. I'm not sure if he's got more in the middle of the map. We'll have to wait and see. But now we're just going to push to the left and just see if he's built any extra bases. It looks like he's left that blank for the time being. And red is in a decent position at the moment as well. He's got some tanks covering that top right position. The question is where to go, and cyan is starting to bring a tank force to the bottom of the map where I've just been. So I think they're possibly going to try and reclaim that part of the map, because a lot of the, obviously a lot of this game is about map control. I'm going to build another MCV, and now I've got my tanks here. The heavy tanks are coming across the bridge, and this is just going to be a straight out tank battle. It seems like we have similar tank numbers, although cyan is using heavy tanks, which are a little bit stronger. So let's see how this battle goes. What I'm trying to do is just move my tanks around a little bit. It's a bit tricky because of the space. We don't have enough space to move around very much. But we'll try and move them as much, just because when tanks move, they take less damage. Now red, my ally's coming in, and that's a big level of support he's got there. He's got quite a few tanks, and we're going to be able to push cyan from this part of the map. We can see some of cyan's reinforcements coming in, but that's just going to be nowhere near enough. There's only 3 or 4 tanks there, and if he trickles tanks in like that, he's going to lose them very, very quickly. And now red coming in with me, and we're going to try and take out the middle part of the island. Cyan now pulling back. I think he's realised that trickling tanks like that is not going to be a good idea. And we're going to see if we can push on forwards. I'm just having a bit of a look at what's happening on that part of the map. You can see one of the bridges has been taken out, but one of the bridges is still functional. And now he's trying to defend that bridge. And that ore truck is almost down. He's also got some Tesla on the other side of that bridge. I'm going to try and take that out. And now it looks like we're in a very good position. We're getting into that middle island, and we're going to be able to take out some of the major structures there. The oil refinery going down, the power plant as well, and the construction yards. They're being taken out as well. I don't have good tank numbers, but red does. He's been able to get established now and set up his base. And now we can see the cyan is pulling back. And I think he'll have a base, of course, in the bottom right of the middle island. And yellow trying to get established once again in this left side of the map. And what I'm doing is I've got another MCV there. I'm just going to get re-established here, because you can see my economy is in a pretty dire situation. I don't have any resources in my old bases. So I do have to be careful, because sometimes in these situations you can become a little bit stuck. The reason that map control is so important is because you have access to ore patches, and I don't have access to that many, and that's why it's important I've got this MCV out, so I can get ore trucks on that ore patch, which is still live on the top left. And now we're trying to take out those destroyers, doing a bit of damage to my medium tanks, doing a lot of damage, but I need to get them down. And unfortunately I don't really have the resources to build a navy, so I'm having to do it with my medium tanks, which are going to be able to fight on the middle of the map, and those yellow destroyers going down. I think we'll get that last one down. It looks like it's on very low HP, and it does go down. And now we're going to try and push down into that middle section, that bottom left position. But yellow is putting some tanks in there and making it a bit of a bottleneck. But I'm starting to be able to force my way through. I do have still quite a few resources in the bank, so I am going to be able to get some tanks out there and just push my position. But yellow put up a bit of a defence. He's got more medium tanks coming in, but I don't think those, well, it could be enough. Red's also got a couple of heavy tanks there. We're just going to have to try and micro our tanks around as much as possible, but those yellow tanks seem to be in better numbers right at the moment, and I might have to pull back. And I've just had a look at my starting base once again, and we can see those tank numbers on my starting island are quite large, because when you have lots of war factories, tanks are produced from different war factories, as I said earlier. So it's going to be another time for another boat landing. What I probably should have done is sold that war factory on the starting island, because I don't really need it anymore, because it's not that useful. Because I don't have, like, the advantage of having multiple war factories is you increase the building speed of tanks. But when you've got like haven't got like as many resources, which I don't have now, I could actually do without that war factory and just have the ones on the main island. But anyway, I think this attack hopefully will be the final attack. And we can see Red's also being able to take out Yellow on that bottom left position before we've even been able to get this attack started. So I think that's all sorted now, and it's just going to be we're just going to be left to attack the starting islands. Now that we've eliminated the enemy from the middle islands, I think it's pretty obvious there's going to be absolutely no way back into the game for them, because once you're isolated late game to your starting island, it's basically you probably haven't got any resources left on that island, and if you have, it's not going to be many, and you're not going to be able to get back on the middle island because the other teams have many tanks. And I think that's pretty obvious in this situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wind it forwards a little bit, so you can see the last attacks that we did on their remaining islands to finish this game off. So this was a pretty eventful game. At the start, what I tried to do is I tried to build lots of MCVs and spread out as much as I could. And then cyan, I possibly, well, what happened is I underestimated cyan a little bit. I focused too much on expansion and building like all the vehicles, like the radar dome, the tech centres, the gap generators, and I neglected the tank builds a little bit, and that was a big mistake. Cyan was able to push me right back to the starting base, and it looked like I was in a dangerous situation for a little while. That also let Yellow build up as well. My teammate got off the middle of the map, and then Yellow was able to attack the other side of the base. And maybe it was a bit slow in that, I should have got to the middle maybe a little bit faster, because when I was fighting cyan, I had like literally nothing defending, so yeah, even if Yellow had just brought like 5 or 10 tanks, that would have provided mega damage to my other structures. So a bit of a miscalculation from me at the start. But one of the things about Red Alert is calculating how greedy with the economy you can be, because the better you build the economy, the more tanks you're going to be able to build later on. But if you're too greedy with the economy, then you can get wiped out at the start, which is almost what happened there. I did have some good help of my teammates, even though he was like trying to build bases at the start in the top right. Every time he tried to do that, even though he got wiped out a few times, it did help me because it caused cyan to fall back. I was able to regroup, get more tanks together, get more defences built up like turrets, and then I could recommence the attack. Eventually, with the help from Red, we managed to secure that top right position, and he was able to build a base there, and that's when the game really changed. Then I was like having to fight on the left side because we'd sort of neglected that area of the map, and the big turning point there was I lost like a lot of my base. I lost my like top left base, I lost my middle base, and what I did is I'd noticed that like a lot of my tanks had been building on my starting island, so I put them in transport ships and I sent them right to the back of Yellow's base, and because Yellow's tanks were in a completely wrong position, I was able to take out a lot of his major buildings, and that had a major impact on the game. I was able to take out some of the Autrix as well from cyan, which obviously would have damaged his economy and hampered him on the right side of the map with his fight against Red. So that, I think that was a like big turning point there as well. From that point on, we had the momentum and we were able to take the whole of the middle island. Although you can see that cyan and yellow have tried to re-establish themselves. What I'm doing now is taking these transport ships to cyan's main base. I'm going to drop off the tanks there, doing a launch the attack there, and you can see how these transport ships go on top of each other sometimes. It's like a little bit annoying, but I'm just going to try and unload all those tanks, and you can see the cyan's tanks are in the middle, and it looks like Red is going to deal with them. But the tanks coming in now, there's only a few of them go, I'm going to be able to deal with them absolutely fine. And now we're going to the main base, and it's going to be definitely, I think at this point, a good game. We'll see. He's actually supplying the drive, so he's got some resources. I think he's probably stopped his own slide in there. He's got a lot of optics there, actually. But now, we're taking out his main buildings. There's absolutely nothing he can do. Red's taking out his middle base. I'm taking out his starting base. And that's his, everything's going to be a good game and done and dusted. We've got home map vision, so there's no way he's going to have any surprise bases anywhere. And pretty exciting match, I think. Overall, a bit harder than I thought he was going to be at the start, and I probably underestimated my opponents a little bit there and went a bit greedy, but there you go, that is officially good game. Cyan's out the game, and I think Yellow was on that other island and now he's sold up. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video.